Hi guys, and welcome back to our next video. Now here we are talking again about Burp, about web application, web servers, and now I'm gonna show you some fundamental things again to get a better idea about how the Burp is working, because there are many tools in that application. Burp has amazingly huge variety of tools, and basically you don't need to remember any one of them. You need to know how to search for them and what they do. You need to know how the tools and how the Burp is working. So by fundamentally understanding an application or a software, you can forward, manipulate, and exploit that application to suit your need. Well, the easiest thing is to go there and show you this is that, this is that, this is that. But I want to show you the fundamentals about the whole layer of working that you can't really see. Because these things, especially in computer science, when we don't see them, that's when the magic happens, and that's where everything is working and is doing its job. Let's say from the website you have front-end and back-end technology, and by modifying the front-end, cool, you see different changes, but the back-end is that which is really working. The back-end is that which is connecting to a database. The back-end is the functionality below the front-end. So by understanding these technologies, let's say if you're into programming, you maybe program on Python or C#, so on, or Java even. But this OP language, which is object-oriented programming, are converted into C language, the very bottom layer of programming, the C assembler and machine instructions. So everything is compiled to C. Every compiler is made for C. Linux is made on C language because this language is really hard to learn. It's working on the bottom level of your machine, but it's doing anything. It's amazing. So that's why it's important to always learn the fundamentals, the basics, the core that can help you go upward. So now here I have my Windows 10 machine, the main one. I have Burp, I have Firefox. We have the map right here from the previous lectures, and we have our Kali Linux machine right here. So this machine is having an IP address of 1.4, I guess. So I have config, yeah, 1101. So okay, 101. And now I want to show you how the Burp is basically holding the request. So now I'm gonna go and let's say cd desktop or just in the root directory, do not really matter. I'm gonna go python m simple http server. This is the command under Linux, and specify the port 8000. Now if I go to my Windows machine and open Firefox and type just make sure the intercept is off, and type 192.168.1101 port 8000, bam, and we have the directory of my Linux machine. So this is the root folder, the root for web server, and my root user folder, because my user is root. Like this user right here is root. The folder, which is basically my home one, is the same with the same name as the user. So my home folder is root, but this root has nothing to do with where was it, with that root. So basically this is my root, okay, and now under home, where is it, we have root again. So basically this root has nothing to do with that root, okay. So this is the main root of my Linux machine. This is my home folder, which is still called root because my user is root, and here we have the root for web application because the web server hosting under its root directory. The root directory of our web server is in my user's root. A lot of roots right here. Yeah. So now we have displayed our files here. Just go back. Now see what happens with the web server. So I'm just gonna close that and see we have a connection with IP 1.100. On that date we get HTTP 1.1200, which means okay. So we get the content of our root web server. Now if I go and try to browse again, I see to download a file, just say file. This should pop up if I'm not wrong. So basically I'm gonna reload the page. Yep, so now go here, Let's download the Burp. Let's see what, yeah, it's just showing us that we are accessing some files. So it says what we are accessing, right? So now go to google.com. Okay, now just keep that clear. Just a few enters to get to new line. Now minimize that, turn intercept to on, and now open Firefox, navigate the same IP address. So keep in mind that if you click here, the back button right here, the whole website is cached, it's buffered, so we won't get to vote anything, and that's why we didn't get another response when accessing the website, because it is already pre-buffered. So in order to create a new request, better go for entering the website or refreshing if you are inside. So because refreshing is gonna send a new request, but going back is going back to the buffered version of the website. So now here type, yeah, this is the IP address, click enter, and now this frees up, the burp become red, and see here we did not get any response, right? So here we don't get anything because now the request is stopped to the burp instead of sent to the server, right? So here is nothing because our request is stopped, and this is where we can use that request, right? So this is where we can modify the request and throw a modified request to the server. So this is where the magic happens. Some servers has, let's say, functionalities for checking if you're inputting some invalid files or parameters. Let's say we have a web application which has a comment section, or it has a file upload section of that comment section. And that file upload is basically a front-end check, a JavaScript check that you are uploading an image with .jpg or PNG and so on. So these front-end checks can be really easily bypassed by using Burp and by modifying the request to your Burp instances. Because since you sent to the Burp, to the proxy, you can, for example, create a PHP file with extension, let's say cmd.php.jpg, and upload that file, and of course open the intercept, and since basically the application is expecting .jpg at the end, it's gonna pass, but here we're gonna remove the JPG and we're gonna upload the pure cmd.php file to the web server. So this is really useful tool when we are hacking web applications. So this is rank 1 tool to go. Of course the paid version is better. So if I go to forward, open it up, and now I have the request right there. So before that I did not get the request because Burp stopped my request, so nothing happened. Okay, and after that I just forwarded the request, and now our request is on. So that's how it's working, and that's how the web servers sees your request. If the request is on Burp, nothing ever is gonna be shown. Okay, now moving forward, we're gonna minimize that for a second and turn the intercept off, and now we've covered all these options. Now it's time for a spider. So basically the spider is a tool that basically maps a website, right? So it basically starts to shoot requests to different possible outcomes of files and folders under the website. So basically it starts to shoot requests against different names, different strings. It uses different strings to shoot names, to shoot requests, to the web server. And if the request gets with 200 OK or 302 found, that means that the directory with that string exists, or the file with that string exists as well. Right? So to demonstrate that, I can simply use a proxy intercept on, open Firefox, navigate info.cyber.com. Come on. I'm gonna try on Linux because I'm sure it's gonna work better on Linux. So I'm gonna open my Kali machine, close that for a second, open Burp. Yeah, there's the Java warning that it appears, but do not worry about it, it's working pretty fine. Just click OK and we are good to go. So just wait a little bit to load, and we're gonna see how the spider is working. Okay, so here click next, then start Burp. So we start in a temporary project. Of course, using the paid version is always better, so you can save projects and go back to them whenever you want. So under proxy, intercept on, open Firefox. Yep, so here it is. Now I'm using an add-on for proxy, but of course it really do not matter if you use add-on Foxy proxy or just go and manual modify the settings. These are doing quite the same job, but with that, the add-on is kind of more easy and faster. Just click one button and you reassign the proxy. Okay, so here type in, and you can have multiple configuration of proxies right here, by the way. So enforce server.com. Bam, so we get the requests, and now we can right click that and send to Spider, right? So with the request, with the body of the request, we can right click and we can use any of these options to send it to different bodies of the burp. So in that case, send to Spider and click here, yes. You have add the item, yes. Okay, so now see the target appeared. So in that case, the target is enforcecyber.com. The Spider says it's running, the proxy is still running. So here for now it was able to identify robots.txt, and if we go right click and we can copy that as a curl command, or we can copy the URL. And if we go here and paste the URL, let's turn on the intercept, we have the robots.txt file. Nice. So see, now the Spider is gonna start working with that directories and it's gonna start spidering like anything in the scope. So we start to basically shoot different words at the web application and see the response. If the response is 302, it's okay. If the response is 200, it's still okay. And so we are ready to go. So let's just Spider continue to scan. We can clear queue, Spider is running. We can use custom scope. We can go to options and specify the different options about how the Spider is really working. So here we can specify where there is some exceptions. We can specify different rules, number of threads. We can just control the Spider and give it our own custom options. So this is great. We're gonna stop the Spider for now since we are moving up. So Spider is running. Did it find anything for now? No. Okay. And you can see it's scanning for the non-secured and the secured version as well. So yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna stop Spider and moving forward to basically Scanner. So Scanner is the cool thing about paid burp, because this tool is designed for automatically fuzz our applications. And it's amazing at finding cross-site scripting attacks, SQL injection, possible file upload, possible command execution. So this tool is great, but again, it's licensed against Sportswear. You need to buy Burp to access that tool. But it's working pretty damn amazing, and if you want to go with full free version, you can use OWASP Zap. So Zap. This is something like a Burp scanner, but it's not working like the Burp. Is not that good, but still is doing some job. So except this tool is designed for fuzzing, and fuzzing is a procedure of basically throwing different requests with parameters and seeking for bugs. So these things are great to have when you're bug bounty hunting, because you can shoot fuzzers and fuzzers can say, hey, see, here might that be possible, here might have been a SQL injection attack, or there can be like a cross-site scripting attack, and so on. So no, I don't want for now. So see, we have just different URL here. We need to type the URL, and therefore we need to just type attack, right? And that's all we have to do. Like www.enforcecyber.com, go to attack, favorite to attack the URL, received response code. Yeah, so our security mechanism has detected us and possibly blocked my IP address. Yeah, so HTTPS. Yeah, so we get a 403 response code. Yeah, so yeah, this is a user error. just click attack and the fuzzing is gonna start, fuzzing all the parameters it's possible, and seeking for bugs automatically. Because let's say you can waste hell lot of time by manually fuzzing any parameter on a website by yourself manual. So it's gonna take a lot of time, and that's why there are automatically fuzzers that if there's something vulnerable, possible vulnerability, they're gonna sense it, because as I said, they're shooting a lot of parameters. Like they have a login form, and in that login form they are trying to shoot different login parameters with different scripts, with different tags, with different XML tags, with just anything you can imagine of, and are sensing if the login form can be vulnerable to potential cross-site scripting, SQL injection, there can be SQL parameters right there, and so on. So scanners are great. Fuzzing is great. Fuzzing is the ability to automatically search for bugs in web application. And that's all they do. They just throw infinite amount of parameters. So now let's move on into intruder, and this is basically something like a metasploit for web applications. The intruder is when you can attack targets. So with the position, we need to capture a request. How it works is very simple. We need to capture a request. Let's say turn the intercept to on, open Firefox, and we can, for example, type Instagram. So we get the request, this is for cyber. Yeah, so this is the Instagram. We're gonna right click that and send to intruder. And by the way, see, the active scan is fogged because we did not have it. So intruder, now in intruder we have like the host, it automatically fills up the position, so we have the request. And here we can specify different parameters we can fuzz and attack. Let's say we can do like that and click to add. So we have now added as a variable. So we have different variables. We have different attack types, sniper, cluster bomb, yeah, and so on. Under payloads, we can basically choose what to happen, like what payload to shoot in, what attack to shoot in. Like from here we can load the list of targets, list of payloads, and so on. And with options we can configure how the attack is gonna proceed. So the intruder is like the metasploit for web application. We are shooting attacks with the intruder. We are busting the web application. Therefore we have the repeater, and the repeater is again great tool to go, because for example, if I click Ctrl R or right click send to repeater, go to repeater and see I can click go, and that request I have captured is sent back to Instagram, but still I'm intercepting that. So the repeater is like a interception, but can hold the packet, hold the request, and can modify the request. So from here I can go to render to see what happened and how that response was rendered. We have the request, we have the response. Under the render, there should be some graphical user interface about some pure HTML, how they rendered. And if I manage to modify something here like parameters and so on, I did not need to capture requests again. I'm gonna use just the repeater and I'm gonna see what I need, right? So the sequencer is when you basically sequence a lot of requests one from another, like send requests here from all our tools to configure live capture. So this is all a sequencer is doing, like sending a variety of requests, one followed by another, and so on. We can go to manual load, we can go to analyze option when we can again configure how the sequencer is gonna work. Therefore we have the decoder, which is a really nice tool for encoding and decoding. Let's say if I have enforce cyber.com/robots.txt, and if I encode that as a URL, see what happens. So this is the URL. I can encode that as HTML, I can encode that as base64, then decode that as URL, or decode it as base64, sorry, so base64, like C, and then I can encode that in something else. This is something like a cyber chef, if I'm not wrong. So the cyber chef is a nice web application which allows you to work with such encoding algorithms to encode different strings. So cyber chef, I'm gonna turn on the proxy. Okay, so cyber chef. Yeah, so there it is. So from here we can do quite the same thing. Just use our algorithm, use the recipe, paste the input right here, and get an output. Like, it's easy as that. Nice. So just remove that, and now we go to comparer. We can basically let you compare on byte level different packets, different data. So we compare on byte level, which is again useful. So this is the main usages of Burp. It's a nice tool with a lot of functionality, and while attacking web application and seeking for bug bounties, this is the tool to go. So basically, as I said, the procedure of bug bounty hunting is quite the same no matter the application. All they have web applications. Your point is to basically force the application to work unwanted. It can be by fuzzing, it can be by manually finding and validating something, it can be by any way you can think of. So this is the core of bug bounty. It's just how you basically find bugs, exploit bugs. It can be with fuzzing, it can be with Burp, it can be with Zap, no matter. So basically, no matter if you're bug bounty hunting or penetration testing a web application, Burp Suite is a tool that you must have in your arsenal. So I hope this was useful for you guys, and thank you for watching.